Hi, thank you so much for joining me here today. Can you please state your first name?
David.
Awesome. So now we'll get on with the questions. Have you, your family, or someone you know struggled to find slash keep a safe, decent place to live?
Yeah, absolutely.
You can like elaborate if you want on
Yeah.
that, if you have
No,
any
there's been,
examples.
absolutely. We've had, I personally, I moved out when I was 19 and I was paying for school
Oh,
as
wow.
I went. So I was paying for all my own room and board, and there were a couple of years where I was, and luckily I didn't have it, but I was one, emergency away from not being able to pay rent. um and and that's one of the things that makes me care about this so much, is just that uncertainty that sets in for people, because it was scary. I once had a speeding ticket that I got, last one I ever got, when I was like 19, and I couldn't pay it, because I wouldn't be able to pay for everything else. And
Mm,
so because I didn't have the money, um
um,
I paid that late, and but I had to make a choice. Do I pay the speeding ticket, or do I, pay rent and eat this week?
mm.
So I'm glad
Wow.
those days are behind me. But yeah, even personally, but I'm a doctor now. So thank
Oh,
goodness I had some other support, and went through all that. But I've worked with a lot of people on the west side of Columbus, and
mm,
I couldn't tell you how many patients I've had come in that struggled with keeping their appointments because something happened with their housing, and then they moved, and then trying to start all over with another physician to try and get out of pain was a nightmare. And most of them fell off, and didn't get the care they needed, because of their instability with housing.
wow, my goodness. So is there anything else you want to add on to that question? Or I can go on with the next one too. Anything else that comes to mind? Those are good examples though.
I think it runs right into probably your next question. So
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, it bleeds right into it. So why is it important to you that Bread pushes for more affordable housing?
Um, there are a couple reasons, and one is it's a particularly bad issue in Columbus, which is frustrating for me because it's a growing place, and I love Columbus, and I think there's a lot that's great, but unfortunately, we it feels like the people that need the help the most are being forgotten in a lot of ways. I also, as might have been obvious from what I was saying earlier, I grew up under the poverty line my entire life. And thank goodness, as a kid, I didn't have any concerns about our house and not knowing where I was going to live. But it's such a big effect on families when they lose housing, and moving schools and school systems in the middle of um, the year, and all the safety net that comes with a school, and having teachers and administrators that know who you are as a student. You lose all that and you start over. And as a kid, it's heartbreaking. And as I had said, I saw this with a number of families when I was first practicing, and it was really really tough, because it was something that I couldn't help with, and it was something that I knew was directly affecting their physical well-being, um, as well, with just being able to seek care. Um, and so I care about it for the health of people that are struggling, just the overwhelming number of people in the Columbus area as we grow, as we have big new businesses coming in, and we still have this serious issue that I don't feel like is being addressed. And that's why I got involved as much as I did a couple years ago with bread, and I wish I could be more involved, but schedule is what it is. So, but I care a lot about the mission, and particularly this one, because it just becomes, for families that struggle, it sets everything back. It affects health, it affects education, and that's going to affect how they work and how they live, and the next generation as well. And there are a lot of people that aren't responsible enough to make a choice because they're a child that are getting affected um, by some of the choices that are being made by our local government, and or not being enforced by our local authorities. So I'm a big fan of Brad holding people's feet to the fire when it comes to this, because I think it really says who we are when it comes to what we do with this kind of an issue. And yeah.
That's great. And I completely agree. Is there anything else, last comments before we end today?
I think that's probably good for me.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate it. Again, thank you so much for meeting. Yeah, have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.